Usted tiene dos pantalones azul, mi pantalones. Should you ever bluff as a private investigator? Hi, this is Larry K. with ShadowAnyone.com and the creator of the Investigator's Ultimate Guide series, which is premium private investigator training from someone who's been there and done that. Should you ever bluff as a private investigator? Pretend that you know more than you actually know, or maybe in some cases pretend that you know less than you actually know. The answer is certainly yes. There are times you're going to hold back information from a person you're talking to. You don't want them to know how much you know. And sometimes you're going to pretend as if you know more than you know, hoping that they open up or share with you things that you need to learn. I talk about tricks and techniques like this in my book 51 Dirty Tricks, but what I want to do is give you two examples today, concrete examples. I'm going to go back to time that I worked in loss prevention in order so that I can give you some very clear-cut ones. They're not as ambiguous as you might see as an investigator, say, doing an interview or skip tracing or running a pretext. So the first example I want to give you is not bluffing, but being very specific. Because no matter what, interviews or anything, sometimes being very specific, letting them know that you know, can be the difference between success and failure. So I had one time where a guy stole a pair of blue jeans. He put on a pair underneath the pair that he was wearing, walked out of the store. He actually made it to the car. He got into the back seat. There was a driver and a passenger as well. I approached the car and I said to the guy, "Hi, I'm Larry with Store Loss Prevention. I need to speak with you about some unpaid for merchandise." Immediately the guy says in very broken English, "I don't speak English." That's the card he wanted to play. All right. I said to him in the worst 3-year-old Spanish that there is, I don't even know how I knew to say this, but I said, "Usted tiene dos pantalones azul, mi pantalones," which roughly translated means you have two blue pants, my pants. But that was enough. He just lowered his head, climbed out of the car, and came back into the store with me. Honestly, I'm more surprised than anybody that that worked, but it's a testament to the power of being specific. He knows I know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not fishing. I'm not taking a chance. He can try to deny it. He can try to plead ignorant, hoping that maybe I'm not really sure, that I'm taking a shot in the dark, but being very specific, that ended it right there, and he complied. It was a very good outcome. Likewise, when you're doing skip tracing, maybe you're a process server doing some skip tracing, you're a private investigator doing some interviews, whatever the case may be, sometimes being very specific, letting the person know that you know, is the way to go to get the results that you want. Of course, there's the other side of the coin, bluffing, or what might more technically be called permissible deception. Permissible deception is allowed. Just right there in the phrase, permissible. There are some things you can do that are permissible even though they're deceptive. So again, so I can give you a very clear-cut example, let's look at loss prevention. I had a woman come into the store. She loaded up some bags with many sweatshirts. They were branded, logoed sweatshirts, kind of expensive, and carries these bags out. And by the time I catch up to her, again, this woman is now in her vehicle. It's a minivan, and she's backing out of the parking space. I come up, I tap on the window. She rolls down her driver's side window just 2 inches. I said, my name's Larry with Store Loss Prevention. I need to speak with you about some unpaid for merchandise. She claimed, I don't know what you mean. I said, well, the sweatshirts. So she pulled a couple out of a bag, stuffed them through the opening she had in the window like a mail slot in a door, and said, "Is that it?" Well, of course I knew she had more sweatshirts, and I said to her, "Well, we still need to come back into the store and fill out paperwork." She says, "What if I don't?" I said to her, "I have your license plate number. If you don't come back in 20 minutes, I'll have a Jane Doe warrant out for your arrest." Again, I could just see her body kind of let out that breath. She pulled back into the parking space, got her bags, came back into the store, recovered the merchandise. It was a very peaceful solution to this problem. Now, in all fairness, I didn't know that there really is such a thing as a John Doe or Jane Doe arrest warrant. It just popped into my mind. It sounded credible. I tried it, and it worked. I was bluffing. Yes, in reality, you can take the license plate number, you can report the theft, file a report, the detectives can follow up, all of that can happen, but I was straight up bluffing. I also want to point out to you, just in passing, I didn't even have a badge at the time. I had a little plastic laminated card that identified me as store loss prevention. So again, this just goes to, I've written the book, How to Make a Citizen's Arrest. The phrases you use, the things you say are very important. I didn't have some shiny badge to look all official. I had a little plastic laminated card and the right words to make it happen. That is so important. Think about these things before they happen and plan your strategy, plot out what you're going to say so that you're prepared in those events. So sometimes you're going to want to be very specific, sometimes you're going to want to bluff, a lot of times you're going to fall into the middle. You're going to ask open-ended questions to have the person just talk to you. You don't want them to be able to just stop at a yes or a no. You want them to expand on what they're saying. If they're a bad guy, let them dig a deeper hole for themselves. Let them get a story locked in that they're not going to be able to change later. If they're a good guy, if they're a witness, if they were a good Samaritan that was standing by or helping with something, then asking those open-ended questions and doing an interview like that is going to draw out things that they didn't even know that they remembered. It's going to draw out things and details that help you that they didn't even realize were important. I would love to hear what you have to say about whether or not bluffing is something that you would use in one of your cases. Drop it in the comments. In the meantime, this is Larry K with ShadowAnyone.com. Remember, do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing.